Next we move on to the second element, that is the scales of a map. And we learned that scale is the ratio between the map distance to the actual distance on the ground. For example, if a toy car is 10 centimeter but the actual length of the car is 400 centimeter, I would say 10 is to 400. This is just an example that I am giving for you to understand what is the reduced size towards the actual size. Then we have the types of scales that we learnt, and one was the statement scale. The second one was the linear scale. And the third one was the representative fraction. So when I look at a map, a topographical map, what I find is that here we have the scales written below the map. So the map, in this map, when it's mentioned 2 centimeter is to 1 kilometer, what it means that 2 centimeter on this map represents 1 kilometer on the ground. This is a scale in the form of a statement or in words. Next, we have learnt about the linear scale, wherein the graphical scale, which has two parts, the major part termed the primary divisions, and then we have the secondary divisions indicating the meters. The primary divisions indicate the kilometers. The third one is representative fraction or RF, which does not have any units. It's actually a scale which is written in the form of a fraction. As it's written in the form of a fraction, we call this as a universally accepted scale. Because we find that it can take up or convert any international system of measurement. So we learnt about the eastings and northings. We learnt about the scales. Next, we move on to directions. In a map, we usually have an arrow mark depicting a line arrow moving towards the north, which would be the north of the map. Thus, we already know that there are major 4 directions, which are the north, the east, the south and the west. Apart from these 4 major or cardinal directions, we would also be having 4 intermediate directions, and I am very sure you recall what you have learnt, which is in between we have 4 minor or intermediate directions, and those are where you have the north, the east, the south and the west. In between, the intermediate is the northeast, the southeast, the southwest and the northwest. So 4 major cardinal directions and 4 intermediate directions. Then coming to the conventional symbols, these are symbols with using the 7 colors with different keys, different forms to depict different features. Some of these features you will have to learn to memorize so that it will be easier for you in order to interpret a topographical map. So in the first part of this lesson, the first page deals with the introduction, and then I have given you a little bit of a recap on the grid references. I have given you a recap of the scales. Now we are moving on to the color brown, and what we find over here is that we learn the term contours. So the key word for contours, these are imaginary lines that are used to join all places having same height above sea level. Contours, imaginary lines depicted in brown. These are joining places having the same height above sea level. Apart from this, please remember that contours never intersect. They do not intersect. They are depicted in brown. And the next factor we learn is, what do contours depict? They tell us more about three major parts of the relief feature. One, it will tell you about the height of the land. Second, it tells you about the steepness of the slope, and it tells you the shape of the relief feature. So contours tell us more about the height of the land in that particular region. It tells you more about the steepness of the slope, and it tells you about the shape of the relief features. Contours never intersect except at one point. When they happen to meet at a point, they represent a cliff. The height of the land, remember, as we go higher up, when the land is the relief feature, the natural feature that is depicted, we find the value increases. So the innermost number will show actually the height of that particular relief feature. The steepness of the slope. So looking at how closely drawn the contours are, we can say that it is a steep slope. So height of land I get to know from the value of the contour. For example, if this is the contour and the value increases inwards, what happens is 300 would be the height. Steepness of slope, when there are contour lines drawn, if they are drawn very close to each other, these indicate the steepness. However, if the contours are drawn widely spaced, this is a gentle slope. And last, in the next class, we will be learning more how contours depict the shape of the relief feature, whether it is a conical hill, whether it is a mountain, a plateau, a ridge, and the valleys in between. I hope you have understood what has been taught today. I would like you to read pages 1, 2 and 3, because this is what has been recapped along with whatever has been done in class 7. One extra reading that I would like you to do is the trending news that the Earth's magnetic field is weakening. Find out more about it. Why is this weakening? It is weakening in between Africa and South America. How is it going to affect communication and satellites and spaces? Have a good day.